Welcome to Reddit Reader. Today we are going to dive into the crazy stories on entitled parents, where moms and/or dads think that because they have kids they are entitled to everything.
Our first story comes from a user named BB Speaks titled, Cruise Ship Karen Forgot That Other Adults Might Parent Her Unsupervised Kids for Her. Cruise ship Karens are for real. So this happened. After a disappointing buffet dinner of the same food that was also served in the main dining, we wanted some machine soft serve ice cream. We wandered to find it, we found it. As we approached the machines, there were 3 little kids ages 8 to 11 getting ice cream, no adult with them. They were laughing while dumping their ice cream cones on the machine trays, making piles of messes of soft serve and cones, then trying to redo it again and again. There were 4 separate piles of them doing it. The machine was still dripping ice cream from the spouts BC of their bad behavior. So I start to fill my cone with swirl ice cream. The kids come back before I'm even done. They look ready to cause more stupidity. So I turn to them and say, "Stop messing around with the ice cream. I saw what you did." I go to sit down with my husband. Then a few seconds later, some guy and his kid walk around from behind me and the kid slaps his hand super hard on top the railing separating the walkway from the table we sat at. The dad slapped his hands on a support beam when walking. Like father, like son. When they were a few feet further away, I said, "How rude," like Stephanie Tanner from Full House, only loud enough for my husband to hear. Then a few minutes later, some 40-years-old lady in swimsuit and towel walked hurriedly past us, looking around probably for her lost kids. She then turned to me and loudly, forcefully asked me if I was the one who criticized her kids for getting ice cream. I said yes. They were messing around acting like ice cream cones were toys, dumping their ice cream into piles and thinking it was funny, then came back to do it again. So I told them, "Stop messing around, I saw what you did." That's really bad behavior. They should be supervised if they're gonna disrespect public spaces that other people use. Her rebuttal? Well, my kids are trying to have a fun vacation with their cousin. Me, you should supervise little kids. Her, well, someday when you have kids you'll be annoyed and offended when other people try to tell of your kids. Me, I wasn't expecting some kids to be messing around with ice cream like it's a toy. That's your job, to supervise them and control them, not other people. Her, we were in the next room over in the buffet waiting for the kids to come back to us with their ice cream cones. Then her husband comes over, and he goes, "Yeah, well, there was some kid walking past her and slammed his hands on the railing, but then she was rude and called out how rude they were." I was rude? Some 10-years boy was inches away from slapping me instead of a walkway railing. Karen, you shouldn't tell other people's kids how to act or tell parents how to raise their kids. Karen again. Don't you ever dare talk to my kids again, you bitch. As she leaned over the walkway railing, he grabbed her like a mime with a cane and told her to let it go and walk away. He probably didn't want to see her attack someone, at the bare minimum, like he was done with the argument BC. He was so used to her acting this way. This screams out entitlement, bad habits, constantly not supervision their kids, not enforcing rules of behavior to the kids, not behaving like adults should, setting bad examples of behavior for their kids. Making excuses with unnecessarily details and story plots to deflect the blame away from themselves, etc. In hindsight, if the lady had been more calm in her approach, I would have said my thoughts to her, among the following. Just BC, the cruise ship curfew for minors is 10 p.m. It doesn't mean you can let your under 12 kids walk away to do their own things. Especially after dark. Just BC, maybe you let your kids go get treats at the neighborhood market or corner store at home, unsupervised. Doesn't mean they can do the same thing in an unfamiliar environment after dark while on vacation. Especially on a cruise ship, kids left unsupervised will let loose and misbehave. BC, they know their parents aren't watching, but forget other adults might remind them of the rules of society, adding in extra details about being on vacation with their cousins, and some total stranger, ruined their vacation. BC, I called them out on their misbehavior and misuse of private property. Supervise your kids with a tight then looser leash. Stand 10 feet away to let them serve themselves. And every next time move 5 foot back further so they know how to be responsible and respectful of the environment. It's okay for other people to say sternly you're misbehaving. This is for everyone, not just you. So please use it right when your kids are acting like they're at home. And finally, just BC, I didn't have kids or babies next to me doesn't mean you can say when you have kids someday you'll be offended too if someone corrects their behavior for you. Lady, if I had kids, they would have been in the kids club, nursery, sleeping the room with my MIL, etc. Not messing around with public use shared self-serve ice cream machines like toys. And those are my thoughts about cruise ship Karen. The end. Here's what some people had to say about this. Fun fact: cruise ships have a brig, aka a cell, where they will stay until cruise is over. Can you imagine how outraged they would all be, because most of the time they would be out Karened as someone else would get to be the Karen to them. The inhumanity. Where would they get enough managers for all of them? This is me entirely. If my kids are fucking around and I don't see it, I hope someone corrects them. Lord knows I will not hesitate to correct other people's kids. Bahaha. I have 5 sons, when my 3 older boys were little and we would go grocery shopping or whatever. If other folks' kids were acting like little fools, my kids would feed off that energy and start acting up. I'd have to loudly, to ensure the other folks and their kids heard me, remind my children we don't act like little heathens in the store. You will stand here next to me and act correct. Just because other parents let their kids run around and act up, doesn't mean y'all can. Bahaha, worked every time. Awesome and good for you. I remember my kids had an appointment and we went somewhere for supper since my husband wouldn't be home for supper. They were 3 and 5 at the time. We went to a buffet place, just finished eating, and I was asking them about dessert. We walked together, told me which dessert they wanted, and I passed it to them and we walked back to the table. Dodging a few runners, running around. As we were finishing our desserts, I was embarrassed and said thank you so much, thanks for their kind words. They said it is good to see kids raised with values and manners. I just said my mom taught me well. Just passing it along. I also remember walking into a mall with my kids. We get inside. I turn around to see my son holding the door for the 16 to 18-year-old male and my daughter the second door for him. They caught up with me. The kid came up to me and said I had great kids. I told him thanks and he was sweet to say that. If I ever had someone say my kids were playing a part in making a mess, I would be horrified. I would apologize to the person who just told me. I would also apologize to the staff and ask for wet cloths, and my kids would be cleaning the mess they made. Just so sad. Our next story comes from Throwaway the Chekican 9 and is titled, My Sister-in-Law is Stealing from Me and Using Her Baby as an Excuse. Hello again, Reddit. I didn't think I'd be back to this throwaway, but here I am. My sister-in-law Jessica, 29F, and her husband, my brother, Liam, 32M, are staying with me, 27F, and my wife, 30F, due to foundation trouble at their own home. Simply put, she's been an absolute nightmare when it comes to taking things that aren't hers and brushing them off because she needs them due to her baby, my nephew Liam Jr., M3 months. I'll just list the worst of it, but do note this is a very condensed list. 1. She took my expensive hair products made specifically for thick hair because, and I quote, Liam Jr. can't handle strong scents and yours are just gentler on his nose. She used an entire 16-ounce bottle of conditioner in 3 days. 2. I caught her trying to take the food I ordered for everyone into her room after it was delivered. I ordered almost 6 full meals to dish out for the entire house, and she was just holding this large paper bag in her room. She told me she was just sorting through it to find her food, but she was sitting down with chopsticks and the door was closed, so I call BS. 3. All of my snacks. My pantry has a shelf labeled specifically for me due to a mild food allergy that has all the snacks that I bought. I keep seeing her walking back and forth past my room with my snacks. If I or my wife try to confront her, she cries that she's breastfeeding and she needs the energy. Then she'll get my brother to chew me out. For the record, we do have a communal snack bin, but she won't touch the snacks in there. 4. She took my gift card stash from my shelf in the kitchen and spent nearly $75 on random BS because she claimed she wanted to make the room more comfortable for Liam Jr. I use those gift cards when I go shopping or as presents for sudden events. She knows this and still took 6 to 8 gift cards out with her. It's been non-stop for the last 3 weeks and I'm so fucking done with her. She's taken my hair ties, my shirts from the laundry, my sleep bonnets, and my lipstick. She even took a bottle of my apple cider gummies, which I know she doesn't like because she's tried them before. I feel like she's doing it just to spite me or to assert herself, but I'm seriously considering kicking her out. Edit. Just wanted to clarify that Jessica used my shampoo on herself, not Liam Jr., because the smell was, I guess, irritating him. Edit 2. I'm just going to state the only reason I'm letting these two stay is because of Liam Jr. My brother can't afford housing close to his job, and if I kick him out, Liam Jr.'s housing would be up in the air. His commute is already 45 to 60 minutes each way, and none of our relatives are willing to let him live any closer. Secondly, please do not insult my wife in the comments. She was recently promoted and isn't home often, but I assure you she sticks up for me when she's home. She has told me she's willing to let them stay for Liam Jr., but she has shown that she's upset by Jessica's stealing. I'm sorry I didn't say that before. Edit 3/small update. I've been reading through the comments during my work break and I keep seeing the same things being tossed around. Even the comments that were harsh with it are right. Jessica stomped on both mine and my wife's boundaries using her son as a cover, and I'm being spineless by letting her stay. I also have to accept that Liam Jr. is not my responsibility. As much as I love him, I can't let his mom use him against me. I talked with my wife on her phone today, and we've decided that we're telling them to start seeking alternative housing. We're also going to get a proper eviction drafted up. We've decided they have until Friday the 17th at the absolute latest. I will update after we've talked. Thank you all for knocking some sense into me. Edit 4/update. We had the talk with them about an hour ago and it went bad fast. My brother was screaming, Jessica was screaming, Liam Jr. was crying because of all the noise and somehow that's my fault? They yelled for a good 40 minutes about how they had nowhere else to go and they won't be able to stay together if I kick them out. It was hard for me, but my wife helped me with my stress. Some highlights from Jessica's rant include: You can't have a baby, you'll never know how stressed I am. You didn't lose anything super expensive, why are you acting like this? And my personal favorite: If you kick us out, you'll never see me or my son again. Along with a healthy bit of cursing. I told them that my wife and I's decision was final and Jessica locked herself in her room with Liam Jr. My brother tried to apologize, saying that he was just stressed from work and his new baby, and Jessica putting pressure on him, but my wife cut him off and told him to imagine how stressed I'd been when my things went missing. He just kind of slumped in his seat, then went and joined Jessica in the room after I denied his pleas to stay again. I heard them arguing for a bit, but only for around 15 minutes. I got a text from Jessica's mother asking what was happening, but it wasn't hostile, so I don't think she has the full story. I'm debating telling her since she's technically not involved yet. I've gotten 3 or 4 similar messages from numbers I don't recognize, so I think Jessica may have told people my number or posted something. I'll update again if anything else serious happens. Edit 2. I'm just going to state the only reason I'm letting these two stay is because of Liam Jr. My brother can't afford housing close to his job, and if I kick him out, Liam Jr.'s housing would be up in the air. His commute is already 45 to 60 minutes each way, and none of our relatives are willing to let him live any closer. Secondly, please do not insult my wife in the comments. She was recently promoted and isn't home often, but I assure you she sticks up for me when she's home. She has told me she's willing to let them stay for Liam Jr., but has shown that she's upset by Jessica's stealing. I'm sorry I didn't say that before. I hope you're happy now. Don't expect to see Liam Jr. anytime soon. I got a text from Jessica's mother asking what was happening, but it wasn't hostile, so I don't think she has the full story. I'm debating telling her since she's technically not involved yet. I've gotten 3 or 4 similar messages from numbers I don't recognize, so I think Jessica may have told people my number or posted something. I'll update again if anything else serious happens. Edit 4/final. Update: Jessica and Liam woke me and my wife up by clambering around about 20-ish minutes ago. They didn't say much while they packed up their stuff, but Jessica did say, I didn't feel good when they left. I felt awful. My stomach was in knots and my chest was burning. I should feel happy, but I don't. All I can do is worry. I just feel useless. I feel like a useless wife, like a useless aunt and sister. I was trying to help and now I might not see my nephew again. I went out of my way and now it feels like I'm being punished. I'm pretty sure they'll try something again, but it's not my concern anymore. My brother left his spare key in the kitchen, but I'm still changing the locks. Jessica texted me that Liam is going to be staying in a motel near his job till they figure something else out, and she's going to be stuck with her mother. Her mother lives 4 hours away, for reference. You were all right that I needed to have them gone, but I wish I didn't feel so damn bad. My wife has been comforting me as best she can and I appreciate her so much. She's been so supportive and I'm lucky to have her. Thank you all for listening, commenting, etc. It was the extra push I needed to knock my stupid head on straight. Edit 5. Another small update. plus grammar/spelling mistake fixes. I was contacted by Jessica's mother, who apologized for her daughter and offered to pay me the value of the items stolen if I let her and Liam Jr. move back in. I told her no, and she was surprisingly kind and accepting of this. The call was very short, but I can only assume Jessica told her mother some short or watered-down version of what happened. I think things are settling down now. I also got a text from my brother, but it only said that he was safe at the motel. Here is what Reddit had to say about this. They need to get kicked out. And it has to be before you have to go through a legal, official procedure. In other words, now. And in the meantime, you need to lock everything up. Also, where the fuck is your brother in all this? OP, I know you're trying to be caring and compassionate, but their finances are none of your business. She's stealing from you. Daily. Hourly. Even. If she needs assistance to pay for snacks, she'd ask. Or have your brother ask. If she needed different shampoo for her infant, she'd ask. Or have your brother ask. She's not doing that. You are already giving more than you need to. And she's taking advantage of your hospitality. Her behaviors are the reason they need to leave. Not yours. Selectively and manipulatively. She doesn't eat all food at hand or the snacks that aren't just for you. She eats food she specifically has been asked not to, and the best servings from the takeaway order would have kept the entire 6-dish order to herself. When you asked her to stop, she did, for 48 hours. And now is doing it again. What's her justification for stealing the gift cards? Doesn't matter what her reasons are, because she stole your personal property. Just because she couldn't easily put her hands on it, she's entitled? No, nope, no way and no more. She's never going to stop disrespecting you and your home. There are consequences to that behavior, and it's high time you demonstrate that. I understand this, but it's not your problem. There is a reason none of the relatives who live closer will let these two stay with them. So here's the solution. And I guarantee your brother and Sale won't like it. Your thieving Sale goes to stay with her family. Your brother can continue to stay with you. Or, I'm willing to bet some of the other relatives who live closer would now allow your brother to stay with them on his own. But it is time to put your foot down. If one more thing goes missing, I don't care if it is your lipstick. I don't care if it is a snack. I don't care if it is a shirt from the laundry. I don't care what it is. Any single item. And they are both out, or the above is what's going to happen. But either way, SAL is gone. And as part of this, your brother needs to repay you the $75. I can't stand thieves. And I certainly can't stand thieves who steal in the name of their child. Next we have a story from user Salty Sponge titled, "You Put My Child in Danger, Somehow I'm the Issue." So there's a ton of context here that is absolutely going to be missing. I'll provide what I can to help with this specific story, but Lord, there's a lot. My 28M, mom, 58, has been an alcoholic my entire adult and most of my teenage life. Of course, she's been sober for long stretches and has slips. It's just how addiction is for many people. Especially those who don't seek out help. When she's drinking, Mom is the most entitled, self-centered person I know. Some context. Mom had been in the hospital in March/April for an artery rupture in her liver. To this day, she denies that her history of drinking and her current drinking have anything to do with it. FF to summer, Mom seems to be back on track with sobriety. She gets on well with my fiancé and has been a big support for fiancé's pregnancy. I made sure Mom was there for the birth of her newest grandbaby. All seem to be well. Mom insists that she watches my baby for us after fiancé's leave ends, and we are skeptically receptive to the idea. Ultimately, we decide to allow this. Maybe the baby will help her maintain sobriety. Boy, was I wrong. I get a call from my sister who tells me Mom's been drinking. Not with or around the baby, but it's happening. Yeah, I'm not gonna allow this to go on any further. I'm about 3 hours away from my car. I drive dirt trucks and can't get there fast enough to make sure my baby girl is safe, so I call my father-in-law. He was kind enough to pick up my daughter and keep it on the down low to not hurt Mom's feelings. If there's one thing Mom isn't, it's dumb. She sees through all this and knows exactly what's up. We find a new sitter and do what we can. We maintain incredibly low contact. A couple months later, I get a call from my sister just to talk. The conversation, of course, comes to Mom. Sister tells me a story about Mom begging to watch her kids, but an hour before she was supposed to, she instead chose to drink before having to watch my sister's kids. This happened years ago. I don't know how I got this mixed up, but apparently I somehow confused this with Mom choosing to drink and drive with her kids. I don't know. I suppose I was emotional and got things mixed up. Remember this. It's important for the end. On the bright side though, at the time of this phone call, Mom is doing better again. Maybe it would give her something to look forward to if we allowed her to watch baby once a week. I approach Mom and offer to her that fiancé, and I felt comfortable with her taking baby one day a week. This conversation goes sour. So, we decided that we would be comfortable with you taking baby on Tuesdays. I know you've been really wanting to watch her again. No. No? Well, first, I want you to ask me. This kind of confuses me a bit at first, but I suppose it is a fair statement. She is doing something to help me after all. Right? All right, I'll rephrase. Would you be willing to take baby on Tuesdays? It would be a big help, and you'd get to see her more again. No. I want it all. If I can't have every day, then I won't take her at all. This devolves into an argument where she tries to justify her actions in drinking and accuses me of holding the baby over her head. She throws in, "How dare you call your fiancé's father to take her from me?" I was not drinking that day. Truth, not even after they left. Lie. Remember that phone call with my sister from earlier? The one with the mixed stories? Welp. Here's where that mix-up bit me in the butt. I threw the story I thought was true in her face. I'm not proud of it. Not at all. This, of course, turned into denial and further argument. With her conveniently forgetting that regardless of whether or not a car was involved, she ultimately chose to forego the responsibility she claimed to want so she could drink. I finally had to stop this whole argument by saying that this was getting nowhere, and she could call me when she was ready to address the problem like an adult. That call happened the next day. But that's for next post. I just want to end this post here and say, I love my mother. When she's sober, she is the most amazing woman I know. But that alcohol turns her into the most narcissistic and entitled beast of a human I have ever seen. If the community wants more, I'd be willing to continue telling this story from the phone call the next day all the way to what's happening now as things progress. It gets weird. And frustrating. But telling this has been oddly cathartic. TLDR, mom chooses to drink and potentially put my baby in danger. Gets mad when I don't give her what she wants. Reddit had a lot to say about this one. You're a parent. The safety and well-being of your child takes precedence over everything, especially when they're too young and vulnerable to assert their own self-autonomy. Do what you have to do to protect your child. Everyone else's feelings outside of you, your partner, and that child are beyond irrelevant. So similar but different situations here. I had to go and see with my mother almost 2 years ago because she was in the downward spiral of alcoholic death, with all the emotional abuse that entails from her and her friends who expected me to look after her. Needed to protect both my own mental health and the memories my boys have of their lovely granny. They don't need to see how she goes out. This situation ends ugly and prioritize your kids. I can't believe there was one point I gave her the benefit of the doubt and thought her looking after my boys one day a week might help her focus and recover. I then found bottles of vodka in her bags and the guest room. Get prepared to be firm and look after your family. She's made a choice. Mine certainly did when she stopped abuse, and you need to be ready to protect yourself and family. I don't need any more info. I went through this shit with an alcoholic father. When an alcoholic is on again off again, the triggers could be nothing anyone would notice. They are very good at hiding what they do until they go overboard and an incident happens. When it does happen, it's never their fault and everyone else is to blame. No. I want it all. If I can't have every day, then I won't take her at all. Your mom was not sober during this conversation. She may not have been hammered, but definitely wasn't sober. You need to set a major boundary with your mom. She needs to stay sober for at least 2 years with no incidents before you even think about letting her alone around kids. The simple fact is you cannot trust her ATM to stay sober if there is an emergency. While she may be able to hide if she starts drinking again, you will 100% see the narcissism in her behavior shine through when she does drink. I know you love your mom, but that's not enough to put your kids at risk. Let her know you love her, but will not allow her around the kids if she is drinking. Good luck. Edit. My dad drank himself to death. He chose alcohol over family. Allow for the fact your mom may also. User 121 Tina brings us our last story for today, which is titled, "Should my boyfriend and his family move to my state?" This could be such a long story, but I will try to abbreviate it as much as possible. I, 23F, have been in a long-distance relationship with my boyfriend, 25M, for 4 years. He is my best friend and I truly love him. I know that by even asking this, I probably already know my answer, but I am having a tough time accepting it. Should I end my relationship, or continue it and allow my boyfriend to move to my state with his family? He is planning on moving here in April with his parents, and I don't have much time left to make a decision. I am feeling lots of doubt despite my feelings for him. I am concerned about his mom, 49F. I have so many long stories I could share, but I really will try to keep it short. I have noticed so many red flags, but because we are in a long-distance relationship, I can forgive them once I get home and am away from her. Since I only visit for a week about every other month, I feel I do not even know half of what is to come in the future if I marry into this family. For the short periods of time that I have been in person with his family, I always have several experiences that cause me to feel doubt. But everything else about him is so amazing to me that I can forgive them once I am home. Soon, that will not be the case if they move to my state. He originally was going to move here on his own, but without speaking to me about it, planned for his family to come as well. This did not initially upset me so much at first because I assumed his family would probably follow eventually. He is an only child. Up until now, I had not thought a lot about what it would be like for them to be here too. I only imagined him. I get along with his mom because I am a meek person. She is extremely hot-headed, pushy, and overbearing. I do not enjoy being around her, and she makes me feel exhausted. There have been many things she has said to me that have been left-handed comments, but I have ignored them and always remained respectful to her. I don't like confrontation, but she is a, if you have a problem with me, say it to my face sort of person. We are really close right now, but I genuinely believe that if I had just a little more of a backbone, she would hate me. I know that makes me sound so insincere, but I just wanted to build a good relationship with her. She cannot take no for an answer, and I am so bad at saying no. I will say no to her a million times, and she does not give up. She will just do what she wants. My boyfriend and his mom are extremely close. His biological father left when he was around 3 and his mom remarried when he was 5. His stepdad, 56M, is like a real father to him and they get along very well. His mom and dad have a healthy relationship and that makes me happy. His mom has pulled me aside multiple times throughout my visits to tell me that her son is number one in her life, even before her husband. She pulls me aside very often to make comments like that. She also often texts me about how sweet and amazing he is. He lives with his parents right now because he wants to save up to move in with me. He has lived apart from his parents for 2 years in the past in an apartment that was less than 5 minutes from their house. When he moved out, his mom cried uncontrollably for days. His mom and dad both constantly dote on him. When I am visiting, they knock on his door several times a day to talk to us. When I am not there, they enter his room constantly without knocking when we are on a phone call together. It is more his mom than his dad, but it can be his dad sometimes. His mom will enter his room and sit on his bed and just listen to our conversation. She will complain that he does not spend time with her or eat with her anymore. Since I am not there in person, he and his mom go out one-on-one together several times a week for meals. This does not bother me because I also like spending time with my mom, but for her to whine about him not doing it enough is concerning because to me, it is more than enough already. Additionally to this, she is constantly texting and calling him while we are together. I only get to see him in person every so often, so it makes me sad when she calls him and they talk on the phone for a while when they live together and get to see each other all of the time. He tells her everything that we do each day, all of our plans, sends pictures of our food, and their messages are filled with heart emojis. This did not bother me initially because I am glad he has a good relationship with her, but since then, so much has built up and caused me more concern for how involved she is in his life. I do not know how much he texts her when I am not there, but she calls him every day that he drives to work. She has convinced him that he is 6 inches tall and repeatedly comments on how tall he is. I don't want to burst his bubble because he genuinely believes that he is that tall, but he is probably more like 5 feet 9 inches. I don't care how tall he is perfect to me, but it's strange how his mom romanticizes his height. Every time I visit, at least once, she rubs his arms and goes on and on about how amazing and big his muscles are. She snuggles up against him when we are on the couch, and they always hug when we leave them to go to bed. Maybe this is normal. My parents are not very physically affectionate. I will say that he is independent. He works hard and can cook, clean, and do errands for himself. His mom does currently do his laundry and help with the cleaning and cooking sometimes, but he does help out, and I know he is capable of doing these chores on his own if she wasn't around. For the majority of our relationship, every time I would visit, we would eat just about every dinner with his parents, take his mom out for lunch at least once, and spend the evening watching movies or just talking to them. If we did something alone, when we got back home he would knock on their bedroom door and go into their room and talk to them for at least 30 minutes. I know that doesn't sound long, but that time adds up when you only see your partner for a bit every few months. When he visits me, we sometimes do not eat a single meal with my family at all because I want to spend as much alone time with him as possible. If I said anything about not wanting to spend so much time with his parents, he would get sad and tell me they miss me as much as he misses me when I am gone. We have gone on several trips out of town with his family where we would spend every waking moment with them. For our 3-year anniversary, we went on a 7-day cruise with his parents. After about 2 days, I asked him if we could just do one thing together alone without them. He reluctantly agreed, and we planned to go get a late-night snack. When the time finally came, his mom asked if she could join us because her husband wanted to gamble that night. My boyfriend said yes, and I was visibly annoyed, which caused him to be annoyed with me. He told me that my behavior was unbelievable. After we ate with his mom and parted ways with her, I expressed my annoyance to my boyfriend. He threw a fit and stormed off to sit somewhere on his own. For the rest of the trip he gave me the cold shoulder. I could not wait to get off that boat and go home. We had a serious talk after this, and since then, we spend a good bit less time with them during my visits. Now, if I am there for a week, we usually only spend about 2 to 3 dinners with them, but still spend a lot of time in their room or his room talking. Since we have decreased the time we spent with them, his mother has increasingly gotten more passive-aggressive towards me. She makes left-handed comments about my appearance and qualities, and then she tells me, "You can get away with saying anything if you say it with a smile." They are too minor to truly address or complain about, but it makes me feel insecure. My greatest concern came during my most recent visit. It truly gave me a reality check. We went out to dinner with his parents, and his mom tells me that we need to have a serious talk. I assume it is about them moving to my state, and they want to make sure that I am truly serious about being with their son. Instead, they brought up my older brother. My older brother has extreme social anxiety and sometimes does not properly greet my boyfriend when he visits. I am not close with my older brother, and I do not spend much time with him. I warned my boyfriend about him before meeting him because my brother is rude to everyone and has acted the same to all of my past boyfriends. My boyfriend has taken it extremely personally and brings it up a lot. I have spoken to my brother in private about his behavior and hear out my boyfriend when he complains because I agree with him. My brother can be very rude. If I explain that it's because he is shy, my boyfriend says I am giving my brother excuses and that my parents did not raise him right. At the dinner, his parents say that they are extremely concerned with my brother and how he treats my boyfriend. I am a little shocked because I did not see it as a big deal since my brother is not a big part of my life. This conversation went on for a long time. They bashed my brother and the way my parents raised him. They said if my brother was rude when they were around, they would address it immediately and ask what his problem is. I think I must have been visibly scared because his dad began emphasizing that they did not hate my brother, but were concerned as parents. My brother really has not done anything that bad to my boyfriend other than not greet him when he visits. They acted like my brother was going to be his biggest bully and they had to stand up for their son. I just feel like he is too old to have his parents so defensive and worried about something like this. I also feel like this will just start a huge fight between our families if they make a big scene about my brother. His mom tells me that I need to stand up for my boyfriend no matter what, because at the end of the day, he is all I will have left when my parents pass away. I feel slightly wronged because I have spoken to my brother about his behavior a few times, and so has my mom and other family members. I may have not stood up to him directly at the moment, but I am not comfortable around him, so it is hard. Once the conversation about that ended, his mom turned to me and began asking about my future plans. She does not look at my boyfriend at all, only to me. She asks about when we want to move out together, get married, have kids. I tell her I am not sure if I want kids and I want to be financially stable, have a solid job, and marriage before doing that. She tells me that I should want to have kids now and live day by day instead of worrying about having an established plan. She tells me that my boyfriend's biological father did not want kids until they were established adults either, but she wanted kids, so she got pregnant. I thought this was crazy because they were married in their early 20s. He expressed he did not want kids yet, and she still purposely got pregnant. She often acts like a victim because my boyfriend's biological father left her, and my boyfriend constantly tells me he feels so sorry for her and that she is the strongest woman that he knows. She proceeds to tell me that she wants to be a young grandma and wants me to have children ASAP. She says that she does not want to look old in her pictures with her grandkids. She made the whole process of us having kids seem like it was all about her. Months ago, I had told her I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. If I had kids, and she told me that I should want to work and provide for myself, not rely on anyone. My boyfriend told me that I should not worry about being a stay-at-home mom because I can work while his mom takes care of our kids. I only want kids if me and my partner can afford for me to be a stay-at-home mom. I know that is a lot to ask for in this economy, but if that can't happen, then I simply will not plan on having kids. I am happy to work and I love my job, but if I do have kids, I would like to care for them at home until they are older. My boyfriend's mom is very against this idea. I think maybe because she wants to be the primary caregiver. But I don't really want such a hot-headed, short-tempered person raising my kids, as awful as that sounds. I don't even have kids yet and I'm worried. His mother did multiple things on this trip that made me uncomfortable. I won't get into all of them. One thing was she took something I had just bought and did something with it that I had asked her not to. I did not express discomfort to her, but I spoke to my boyfriend in private afterwards. It truly was not too big of a deal, but I wanted him to know that I didn't like it. He completely shut down and got defensive. We barely spoke for the rest of the day and went to bed mad at each other. My boyfriend and I have also been planning on going to a concert together once he moves here, and his mom has already invited herself to that. Since I have gotten home from my last trip, I have taken this concern very seriously and sat down and told my boyfriend how I truly feel about his mom. The first conversation, he did not understand why I was upset. Eventually, he saw how serious I was. I was brutally honest and told him I was considering pulling out of the relationship if things did not get better. He promised that he would do so much better and apologized for everything. He assured me that he would set boundaries and do anything he had to. I told him I could not know for sure if that was possible before they moved here, so I was still doubtful about continuing the relationship. His solution was that he would move to my state first without them. He brings up this idea to his mom while they are out having dinner one-on-one, as they do quite often. She says it has always been the three of them, her husband, and her son, so that she would have to follow within 2 to 3 months after he moved if he moved here alone. She also asked him, "What if I want to move there?" As in, she would move there with or without his permission as soon as she wants. The conversation did not go anywhere past this. He did not tell his mom, "No, we will need more time than 2 to 3 months, or say it cannot just be the three of us forever once I am an adult and start my own family." Nothing. He did not even attempt to set a single boundary. He saw her get teary-eyed and could not do it. I don't want to separate him from his mother or force a wedge between their relationship, but I don't think she can let go, and he is too nice to set boundaries. And this conversation happened hours after I told him I would pull out of the relationship if he could not prove to me that he could set boundaries. I believe she will resent me for stealing her son from her or my boyfriend, and I will constantly be fighting about his mother. My heart tells me that that dinner is all I need to know about his ability to make boundaries. My biggest concern is that he cannot take any criticism about his mom. She has no boundaries, invites herself to everything, has an opinion about many personal things within our relationship, and it bothers me. I wish I could share every specific story about how she has acted/things she has said, but it would be a book. And that is considering that I only see her maybe 6 to 8 weeks of the year. Soon it will be forever. Is it worth having the man of my dreams that comes in a package deal with his mother? I truly believe he will not be able to set up the boundaries that I am comfortable with. I am so happy with him, but I know I cannot be happy with her. I guess I already know my answer, but I am so heartbroken and feel like a huge jerk. I wish I could accept and love his mother, but I am not sure that I can. Their relationship is far too close, and she is unpleasant to be around. I don't want my future to be controlled by her. He says he can set boundaries and he is willing to do anything to stay with me, but their conversation about him moving on his own proved to me otherwise. Plus, it was only a month ago when he would not speak to me for an entire day because I expressed discomfort to him in private about something his mom did. He is planning to move here at the end of April, so I do not have much time to make my decision and put a halt to it. Maybe she does not sound that bad, but I am preparing for the worst already because I truly do not know what it will be like when we are no longer long distance. I do not want to regret having them uproot their lives and move across the country only to end up wishing they were not here. I truly do not think I could ever find another boyfriend as loyal, thoughtful, and selfless as my boyfriend. He is my best friend and my whole life. But his relationship to his mother has caused me to feel like this may not be right. P.S. I am so sorry that this is so long. I never post on Reddit. I don't use it very often, so I'm sorry if there are protocols that I am not following correctly. This is what Reddit had to say about this one. Oh honey, I got about halfway through this and the number of red flags waving was heartbreaking. It doesn't matter how wonderful he seems to be, there is nothing worse than an enmeshed mama's boy. The saying here on Reddit is, it's easier to dump a mama's boy than it is to divorce a mama's boy. And both are easier than changing a mama's boy. Believe it, even if he says he'll change. You will never be first. You will never be the priority in your own family. Your opinion will never count if it differs from his mommy's. The love you have for him now isn't going to hold up under her toxic behavior and is giving in to her every whim. For fuck's sake, he invited his parents to move with him when he was supposed to be joining you? And did it without discussing it with you? That alone would be enough for me to cut him loose. I'm sorry this is happening. You are not a jerk. But you deserve better. Op responded to this one by saying, "Thank you so much, I deeply appreciate your response. Thank you for taking the time to write that out for me. I feel more confident about ending the relationship. I'm so sorry to hear that you gave your heart to a mama's boy. His mommy raised him to be a perpetual bachelor who's not allowed to love any woman but her. You absolutely must end this crazy relationship immediately. He will never change because she has wielded her evil powers and influence over his entire existence. He actually moved out for a while, and yet he allowed her manipulative crocodile tears to lure him back in. She's good. I'll grant her that. And your BF was no match for such a skilled actress." He rationalizes this by saying he's saving up for later. This is folly. He says that she's the strongest woman he knows. Sorry, but I had a really big chuckle at that one. He's so deeply buried in the FOG, Google that one, fear, obligation, and guilt, that his normal meter is totally screwed up. Women who selfishly destroy their son's future happiness and independence are total weaklings who use manipulation to hold their sons captive. That is not strength by any means. If you cave in and accept the fact that you are not being treated by your BF as an equal in your own relationship, you absolutely will deserve what happens to a woman who ignores the parade of red flags that were slapping her in the face for years. Sorry for the tough love, but your sanity is on the line. If you do decide to dive headfirst into this hornet's nest of toxicity and dysfunction, get ready for them to either move in with you too temporarily, of course, and then keep making excuses for why it's not a good time to get their own place. They'll never leave because that was never their plan anyway. Or B, they'll buy a house that's way too big for just 2 people, so, naturally, they'll guilt him into moving in with them. Your BF will happily comply. Don't even get me started on what your life would be like with a baby. Sweetheart, I didn't even get past your first 2 paragraphs. I scrolled and skimmed, and every fiber of my being was telling me to tell you to run away as fast as you can. This is an absolute no. You have had glimpses of what your life will be like. And it is not. I can tell by the post and what I read, and what I skimmed that you already know this. Your gut is already telling you this. You describe yourself as meat, but you had the strength to actually stop and try to get some outside opinions on this, just to double-check yourself. If you know you have a hard time setting boundaries, I find that to be a pretty intelligent thing to do. So no, this is not something that is going to work for you long-term. It simply can't. You will find your wants and needs subjugated to those of his mom, particularly every single time. Just save